So today, you will hopefully have a better understanding of why we are learning VBA. So today we are going to cover the concept of range. Now, what is a range? Range can be one cell or a group of cells, right? So if I have to put any value in an Excel cell, or if I have to read a value from an Excel cell, I have to use the object called range. How do we use range? We write the keyword range and in the bracket, whichever cell reference you wanted to work with. So let's say if I want to put a value of 100 in A1, I can simply say range A1 in double quotes equal to 100. And it will be done. I have not written sub. 1 second. So what am I doing in this case? I'm referring to only one single cell. And if I had cell, and if I had to refer to a group of cells, how it would happen? I could have written range, let's say B1 is to B10. Yeah. And if I want to give a text or if I want to give a value, just assign a value. So when you assign a value to a group of cells, a value may be a number or a text, it puts the same value in all the cells. Now, the biggest question at this point is, do you have one worksheet or many worksheets?
Yeah. Many.
You have many worksheets. Right? So when I say it's active worksheet, let's see. So if I say range A1 of which worksheet, B1 or B10 of which worksheet are we going to work on? So Shweta is saying active worksheet. What about others?
I want to ask whether it will add in the active question.
Where will it work?
Yeah.
So now the answer is it depends. It depends on what? It depends on where you've written the code. So there are three places where we can write the code. We can either write in sheet that we started with. Then we can write in this workbook, which is this place over here. So we can click and there's a code sheet attached to it. And then we can write in module, like we have been writing for past couple of days now. Okay. So depending on where you're writing the code, the reference will keep on changing. So if I pick the same code, copy, and I'm going to paste it in, let's say, sheet 2, paste it, going to Excel, where is sheet 2? This is my sheet 2, A1 is empty, right? I come back, and let's make sheet 8 as an active sheet. Okay, and let's run it. So if I press F5, did the active sheet get any values?
No.
No. Where did we write it? We wrote it in sheet 2. And where did we find the values? In sheet 2. Okay, so what does it imply? It implies, first of all, range is not a outer object. Where is range? First is a workbook. Inside a workbook, there's a worksheet, right? Inside a worksheet, there's a range, correct? So range is an outer object. Now, anytime you are not mentioning the outer objects, there is some kind of assumption that will take place in assuming what is the outer object of this range value. And what is that? If you're writing in its sheet, it assumes that it belongs to the same sheet in which you are writing the code. That's the reason, even though sheet 8 was active in the front end, but where did it write the code? It wrote the code in sheet 2 itself, because that's where we have written it in the back end. So assumption is, since it's only range, so which worksheet? The sheet in which you are writing, and which is that sheet? In sheet 2. Okay. Now if I take the same code and put it in this workbook, so I'll remove it from here. This time I'll make sheet 8 as active sheet and I'll run it. Now when I run it, did it work on sheet 8? Yes.
Yes.
It is the, and sheet 8 is what? Sheet 8 is the active sheet. If I had sheet 4, let's say, for example, if I had sheet 4 as an active sheet and I would have run, would it run? Yes, it would run. Why? Because now my sheet 4 is my active sheet. So what is the
Whichever is
assumption?
active.
Yes,
Whichever is the active sheet, it will run.
absolutely. So in this workbook, what happens? It works on the active sheet of the workbook, right? Now, what happens if I make it the same program if I write it in a module? Let's say I have another workbook open. And in this workbook, active sheet is sheet 1. Now, if I run the same program in a module of VBA Genpack MIS workbook, where is it going to run? It's going to run on, what did I do? If this is the active workbook and I run this F5, it would run on the active workbook, active worksheet. Okay, basically active sheet of a active workbook.
Shani, this point is not clear.
So remember, to make it clear, so if you remember when we were recording the macros, I had asked one question.
So Shani, if we are writing, in a workbook or in a module, so it will, pick
Work
the
on the
active worksheet, right?
yes,
Whatever
correct.
is the active one. And if we
Correct.
are using single worksheet and writing that code in a, kind of a worksheet, so it will, not pick the active one. It by default pick the worksheet for which we are using the code,
Correct.
writing the code.
Where we have written it.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely
Okay.
correct. So if you remember, we said, can we run the codes on other workbooks? Remember when we recorded our macros, we said, can we run the macros on other workbook? And the answer was yes. Why the answer was yes? Because where do the recorded macros get stored? Do they get stored in a sheet, this workbook, or a module?
It's in a workbook.
Which part of the workbook?
In
a
modules.
sheet, in this
No,
workbook,
not
or a module?
Module.
module.
In module. So what is the benefit or advantage of having codes in a module is that they have the ability to work on the active objects. Any workbook, any worksheet it can work on as long as that object is active. Okay, so that's the main difference. But when you write it in sheet, now what is the disadvantage that if you have to write it in sheet? Let's go back to sheet 2. And let's say if I ask you that I want to put a value of 500 in cell C1. How will you put it? I want to put a value of 500 in cell C1 of sheet. Which sheet? Which is little empty. I think sheet 6 is just a replica. I can empty it. Okay, so I want to put a 500 in C1 of sheet 6. How will I do it?
So this workbook dot sheets 6 dot range C1
Okay.
dot value is equal to 500.
Okay, but if I do something like this, would this do the same work?
Yes. Worksheet dot sheet.
This would do the same work.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many of you agree?
Yes.
So, are we writing this
Agree.
in a module?
But I want to ask you on which sheet we are writing.
Yes.
I want to
that's
ask
right.
in sheet 2. We are writing this in sheet 2.
Yes, Shani.
No, then
But
it
that
will not.
it will work on sheet 2 only.
No,
No,
but
it
we
will
are
go to sheet
activating the
6.
sheet 6. Yeah, I think it will work. Yeah.
It will work. Who said it won't work?
I said
Ashish, you're absolutely correct.
because you are writing on sheet 2.
Absolutely correct. I am writing in sheet 2. So remember, did it work differently depending on which sheet was active in the front end?
Nope.
No.
No.
If we would be writing in this workbook or module, then it would work.
Then it would work. But if I write something like this, even if I activate any sheet in the front end, as long as I'm writing in sheet 2, it is only going to write it in sheet 2 if the outer object is not mentioned. So this won't work. So what Sitaram initially said was actually correct. We'll have to write it in this fashion. We have to specify anytime you want to write something, or if you want to remove the default value and give a new value to it, you have to write it. So where will we write it? Like we said, it's workbook, worksheet range. So the name of the worksheet where you want to write it, followed by dot, followed by the range, followed by the value. Right? Now, a lot of times, like Gunjan is also asking, and Sitaram also said, dot value. Because we said we work as object dot property or object dot method. So value is a property. So you may write dot value, but honestly, if you don't write dot value, then also it works. So it kind of reduces our code if you don't put dot value. So Gunjan, it's one of the same thing. By default, the property is dot value for it.
Ishani, somehow this writing of the code does not work for me. So if I want to go to a sheet and to a range and then insert a value on a particular cell in one line of code, it doesn't work for me.
Why?
I don't know, maybe I'm writing it wrong. So
probably you have to just make sure that you're writing the right object names in the right order. Hierarchy has to be there.
So basically these worksheet and dot range are objects, right?
Correct. Worksheets and range is an object. But I would not suggest you to do something like this. This is a very long way of writing. So imagine if you have to work on multiple cells of sheet 6. This is going to be a very tedious process. Because every time you have to mention the name of the worksheet, mention this range, and then give the value. So better way of doing it is always in a module. If I have to put anything in sheet 6, then I would simply do what I did over here. I would come back, first activate it, and then I'll put the value. This is much easier to work with. And then put the value. Now, anytime I refer to range, after I've activated sheet 6, it will always refer to sheet 6. So I don't have to worry again and again of which sheet it belongs to. So that's the reason, when we started working with the objects, because without objects, it really didn't matter where you're writing the code because there was no interaction with Excel and no Excel cells were involved. But now onwards, since we're working with the objects, it's very important to understand that where should we writing and what is the benefit of writing in a module. Is it clear to all now what is the difference between all the three? I'll just write it out also over here.
Yeah. So Shani, I'm a little bit confused whenever you write
Shani,
on
could you
sheet
please
number
repeat
2 and
once again? Actually, I am also confused.
I'm a little bit confused on when you write on sheet number 2 and you said that it will be done on sheet 6.
Module is pretty much approx clear, but the difference between the sheet and the other one is making
Right.
So if when we are using the range object in a sheet, it assumes to be of the same sheet where the code is written, right? Which means if I write the range object in sheet 2, which sheet range it will work on? It will work on sheet 2 range only. It will not work on sheet 1 or sheet 8 or sheet 6. So whichever worksheet may be active in the front, it has nothing to do with it. The sheet in which you are writing the code is where the range object will work. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when you're writing it, module of this workbook, range object used without any outer object, right? When used, sorry, my hand-eye coordination is poor right now. When uses range, when the object is given for the range object in the sheet. Okay, I think this would make more sense now. It assumes to be the one of the same sheet where the code is kept. Similarly, for the module in this work view, when the range object is used without the outer object, it assumes to be of the active workbook, active sheet. Now, when I've written it out, is it more clear?
Can you
Yes.
show with one example for this
Example,
worksheet? Like we are working on sheet number 6 and writing code on sheet number 2.
working on sheet number 6 and writing code in sheet number 2, like over here we did,
Right, right. Same.
right?
Right.
So if I let's do this, if I activate the sheet, right, like how we had initially said, and we run this sheet, so which sheet is active right now? Sheet 6 is active.
Yes.
And we run this code F5. Did I get any 500 in sheet 6 of C1
No.
sheet 6? No, nothing.
Right,
But if
sheet
I go
two.
to sheet 2, I got a 500.
Yes.
Right? Why did I get it? Because in this place, it was written range C1. Range C1 of which worksheet? So the assumption is there of what? Of the sheet where you're writing. Where are we writing? We are writing in sheet 2. So it assumes by default that it is sheet 2 C1. And it does not work with the active sheets in the front end. So activating a particular workbook or activating a particular worksheet will have no effect when you're writing your codes in a particular sheet.
Ishani,
Yes.
I have two sheets, sheet 1, sheet 2. Whenever
Okay.
I'm activating sheet 1, the range C1 is getting that 500 is, getting pasted in sheet 1 only. And whenever I'm activating sheet 2, it is getting pasted in sheet 2 only.
Yeah, because where are you writing it, Naveen? Where have you written the code?
It is sheet 1 only.
It's not possible. Do one thing, wherever the code is, click in the white space in this Project Explorer, click in the white space, see what turns blue.
Okay.
What turned blue?
Nothing, is just module 1 is coming, and then in Excel objects coming up sheet 1, sheet 2.
No. You see how my sheet 2 gets highlighted with blue?
Yeah, where do I need to click?
So any white space, once you are in your code, let's say over here, I'm in my code, then you come out in the Project Explorer on the left, any white space, click over here.
Okay. Module 1 is getting activated.
Yeah. So what happens in module 1? So when your code is
But
written in
none
module 1,
of the
it
sheet is
works. Huh? None of the sheet,
Yeah.
but what you're doing, you're activating the sheets over here, right?
Yeah.
So when you're activating sheet 1 and running the code, it's working on sheet 1. When you're going and activating sheet 2 and running the code, it's working on sheet 2 because that's the way module works. It works on the active worksheets.
Okay, got it.
Correct?
So basically,
what-
module is a global thing, and sheet and workbook are confined to a specific sheet of workbook.
Yes.
But
So-
Ishani, there is one more thing. So
Uh-huh.
see, my other code, the above cells, range A1 or range V1 to B10, those are getting pasted in different sheet. And whenever I'm activating the sheet 1 or maybe sheet 2, it is getting pasted in sheet 2, which one I am activating in the range.
Correct. Uh-huh.
So the above code is getting pasted on the sheet which are already opened. And whenever I'm activating the sheet in the last code, that 500 is getting pasted on that sheet which is I'm activating, right?
Correct.
But according to you, which is actually open, it should get pasted over there. Activating any other sheet will not
depends.
impact.
No. It will impact. Why not? So for example, sheet 8 is active in the front end right now. Correct?
Yeah.
So when we run the code, how will it run? It will say A1 equal to 100. Which sheet's A1 it
Yes.
will? Which sheet A1 will it go to?
Sheet 8.
Sheet 8. Then it says B1 into B10 equal to 200. Which sheets will it go to?
Sheet 8.
8. Then what is the next step you're doing?
Then yeah, I'm activating different sheets.
6. So
Yeah.
when it goes to the different sheet, then in C1 it will put 500 for which one? For sheet 6, not for 8,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because it is working on the active worksheet.
Active
So
sheet,
if I'm
active worksheet.
changing the active worksheet, it will based on that only it will put the value.
Yes, got it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now let's say we're going to try and create
Shani, I'm not clear with the third example, which
what
you
is the
told
third
that
example?
you told that in if we write a code in worksheet number 2 and we activate the third sheet and then it will work on third sheet.
No, I didn't say that. I said if you work in sheet 2,
Mhm.
irrespective what you activate, it will still work on sheet 2. It does not work with active objects at all.
Okay.
It has no consideration for active objects.
So if we want to write code on worksheet number 2 and that code should be pasted on worksheet number 3, is there any
So
possibility?
if I wanted to, let's say if I wanted to make put a value of 500 in C1 of sheet 6, right?
Right.
While I'm in sheet 2, the way to do it would be to mention the outer object. And how do you do it? You mention the outer object dot the range equal to
Okay.
the value.
Okay. That's
All right.
okay.
Let's say we want to create a sheet with expenses of month of Jan. Okay. Or for expenses of 12 months. But this time when we add the expenses, I want it to be in Excel sheet rather to be in a variable and concatenate. Nothing should be there. The value that we enter or get from the input box, that should be entered in the Excel sheet. So how will that work? Can I say something like this? Like range of, let's say, if I want in A1, I want the word expense to be there. So I can write something like this. Yes, what this will do. And let's activate a particular sheet. Let's say we are going to work in sheet 6. So worksheets, sorry, 8 dot activate.
So we are working on module right now.
Module, yes.
Okay.
And we will always try to work in the module. That's the safest and the fastest way to work. Other things will make your code little difficult to write and read both.
Okay.
Right? Because in real life, we work with multiple sheets and we work with multiple workbooks. It's not that we are going to work in only one single sheet. So we do interact with other sheets and workbooks. Hence, writing becomes easier in a module. Okay, so what I did, I activated sheet 8 and then in sheet 8, I'm putting in the cell A1 as expense. Now from A2 to A11, I want to put the expenses, not A11, A13. I want to put expense of each month. How can I write that code? Can I write something like A3,
Range A1,
A3 to A2, let's say A2 to A13. And can I write input box, enter the expense? Would this work?
Yes.
13 times, right?
12 times,
need
12 months, 12
put
times,
loop.
A 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
12 times.
12, 30, 12 times only. So this would work or not work?
I think I think it will ask only one time and
It'll ask only one time.
yeah,
Correct.
the same value.
The same amount will be
all time.
pasted in all cells.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So if I try to run this thing, it'll ask me only one time what is the expense. Whatever I put as a value, it'll put in all the cells the same value and stop. Is this what we wanted to achieve?
No.
No, we wanted to ask 12 values. 12 times we want expense. So how will we make, how will
Loop.
we call? We'll put a loop. Okay. How many times do I need to run this loop?
12 times.
11.
12 time.
11
12
times.
11 times.
12 times.
12 times.
1 to
12
12,
times.
right? And next time. Okay. Now, if I run this thing, it will work. Let's try. I press F5. I have to put expense. What happened?
It will show. You
It
have to
is
pay.
not
It
identified.
took it for
Ones are
12.
not
It will
identified.
override the values again. Yeah.
So it's not working well, is
No.
it?
No.
So it's again overwriting. Why is it overwriting? It is overwriting
Because of
that's
the
what
range.
because of the range. I
Right.
told you, if you assign a
Yeah.
value to a range, the same value gets passed on to all the values of a range. Correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to work on all the cells together. First, I want to work on A2, then A3, then A4, then A5. I want to progress gradually. So, what modifications can I make to this object?
Offset.
Without offset, only you can do it.
82i.
A2 is going to
Yes, correct.
I.
A is constant.
Yeah.
Oops, I removed everything. So A is constant. What is changing is your row number,
Yes.
right? So we can make A as a constant in double quotes, ampersand I. When I do
Okay.
that,
Hmm.
right, and I wanted to make it work from A2, so I can just do a +1 here. So what this will do, when I is equal to 1, this becomes A2. So the value goes in A2. When I becomes 2, this becomes A3. When I becomes 4, this becomes, it keeps on going on.
don't know. Next I till 12, 12.
Okay. So if I run it, F5, let's say 100. Now you see how it's moving from cell to cell. All done. Is it
But-
clear?
Yes, Ishani.
For others?
Yes, Ishani.
Yes,
Yes.
Ishani.
Yes. Just one thing, Ishani, here.
Uh-huh.
As you told that, if we say worksheet sheet 8 dot activate, you're activating sheet 8 here, right?
Correct.
But if in the next line we are writing range A1 equals expense. So as you said, if I'm not wrong, that this statement doesn't really impact the active sheet. It will be on the sheet which is active, right?
If you're writing the module, right,
Mhm.
it works on the active objects. Correct?
Yeah.
Right? Now, how do you activate without going in Excel and doing it manually? You do through codes.
Right.
So even though if let's say somebody was at sheet 4 to begin with, when the program ran, what is the first line of code? First line of code says activate sheet 3. So it
Yes.
goes and activates this sheet and then starts to put the value over here.
Okay.
Right?
This
So
is
it
how-
becomes, this is how we are able to better control our codes of where they are working, because we will have multiple worksheets and multiple workbooks open at the same time.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Right? Okay. Now that I've put this value, what I would like to do is do a small bit of calculation. What is the calculation I want? Let's say if I wanted to find what has been the maximum expense, what has been the minimum expense, and what has been the average expense so far. If I want to put these headers in Excel, in cell, let's say D1, D2, and D3, how should I write it? I want to put the word maximum expense, minimum expense. Huh? How will I write it? D1?
We can
Range.
range D1
equals
Huh?
to
equals
Max
max.
equals to max.
Exactly.
in
Maximum
straight lines, yeah.
expense. And similarly, others, right? Whenever
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
dealing with text, just like how we learned in Excel also, when you're dealing with text, it has to be in double quotes. So this will become D2, this will become D3. And this is your minimum.
Minimum.
This is my average.
Average.
Now I also want to find the values. Now there are two things that we do in VBA. Either we calculate in the backend, and whatever is the value you got as a result, we paste it in Excel cells. Or the other way could be that I create the formula in the backend and paste the formula in Excel sheet or Excel cells, and then it starts working just like an Excel formula written by hand. So we'll learn both and then we'll discuss which one is preferred. So let's try to do when you are calculating the value in backend and putting. So how we'll do it? Have I told you how to use Excel functions in VBA? How do you use Excel functions in VBA?
You
Really
gave
kind
I
of.
some
think
some
little
keyword
bit you have,
worksheets dot
yeah.
Worksheets dot, right? Worksheets function.
yeah worksheet function.
Okay, so what we are going to do? We are going to use that. So it will be E1 equal to worksheet function dot max. Now max of what? So whenever you're even using worksheet functions and you're giving it to the formulas, you still have to give it in the form of a range. So I simply can't say A2 to A13. How can I write A2 to A13 form of an object? What is A2 to A13?
It's a
It's a
range.
range.
It's a
Range.
range.
So invert
Range.
Exactly.
commas.
So range and in double quotes,
Quotes.
I can put this. Okay. So you have to make sure that you're giving the object names and not just writing how you would have written in Excel. And let's say this becomes E2, this becomes E3, this becomes min, and this becomes average. Okay. And we run the program F5. So automatically this thing populated maximum expense, minimum expense, average expense, and the value of max, min, and average is given over here. The formulas are not given. Only the values are given. Correct?
Correct.
Any
Yes.
confusion in how I did it?
No, Ishani.
No.
Why is there no formula? Because
Why?
we
We
are
are using function of Excel. You're asking why there is no formula in the Excel cell?
yes.
Because we are doing the calculations in the back. We are using worksheet function. We are using the function of max, doing our calculation. Whatever is the output of the function, that gets assigned to E1, E2, E3.
Okay.
Okay. The second way is the function or formula in the Excel cell. How do we do it? So range, let's say F1 is equal to or dot formula equal to, and in double quotes, we put equal to and the formula or a function exactly how you would have written in an Excel cell. So in Excel cell, how do you start your function or a formula? You start with an equal to sign. So equal to sign max A2 to A30. This is how I would write it in Excel, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So we will write it exactly in the same way we would write it in Excel. So, but what we are doing, we are putting a formula this time and not just the value. And when I run it,
Basically we are writing it right in the cell itself.
yes. And when we run it, now it is giving you the formula.
Shani, one question. So
Yes.
when we are using dot formula, we can use any formula of Excel, right?
Anything that you would use in Excel.
Like worksheet functions are limited. We have
Yes.
few not included on that list, but
Correct.
dot formula we can use any formula. Okay.
Correct. Ideally, when let's say Gunjan asks me, is there a difference between range E1 equal to something versus range E1 dot value? In fact, dot formula also has no meaning. Whether you put a dot value, you don't put dot value, you put a dot formula, you don't put a dot formula, it has no meaning. Why? Think about it. If I had you remove the word formula and I put equal to this is what? It is a text or a number?
It's a text.
Text.
It's a text. What it will do, it will go in Excel and drop this text.
Yes.
And it
Now
work
this
as a
text starts
formula.
with equal to sign.
Yeah,
It
that makes
starts with
sense.
an equal to sign, it automatically becomes a function
Turns
of
into a
Excel.
formula. Yeah.
Exactly. Though the intention was not that, okay, nothing fancy has happened over here. I've just written dot formula just to make a differentiation. Over here we are putting a formula, over here we are not putting a formula. Otherwise, if I don't use the word dot formula, there is no difference in the output. Correct? Now one
Yes.
last thing.
Understood.
We are working on the limited cell range of data. What if the data range, a data cell is variable?
Yes, obviously it should be variable. Only then we need VBA. Otherwise, we won't need VBA at all. We will come to that also. One more thing, I give you one question and then we'll see if can we reach variable range today? Probably not today, but tomorrow definitely I'll tell you how to pick it up. Because that's the whole point of using VBA, right? Why we would need VBA? If the set of cells that was constant throughout our problem, I don't need VBA. Excel is very much capable of updating its value. Right? Where we need
Right.
VBA is where the ranges keep on differing. The number of rows, the number of columns, they keep changing. But the process I want to do is the same. That's where VBA kicks in. So definitely we'll do that. Okay. What do you think will happen? EFG. If I did something like this, what do you think will be the output of the last row that I've written, last code that I've written?
What is EL?
E1 and F1 will be added.
But the range is from G to
It will act as a
G3.
formula itself in the Excel.
It will act as a formula. So what is it going to pass on? The same value of E1 plus F1 or it will be varying?
It will vary.
No, it will be same because
It will just add value of E1 and F1.
Yes, same
All the
value.
cells. Same value,
Yeah.
all the cells. Is it?
I think
Let's
Yes,
see.
yes, same value in
Yes,
all the
same
cells.
value by adding both the value of
Okay.
cell.
Let's
Because
see what happens.
I guess the freezing.
So even F1, and then it gets copy pasted just like how it would copy paste in Excel. It's like a fill. You know how to fill in Excel, right? If you would have written this one and you went over here and double click, it passes on the formula.
yeah,
So they
in
also
normal
have to
Excel it
enter
works
those
like
other
that.
things.
But
Sorry.
here we are as an input, it was a text. So text will be copied in all the cells G1, G2, G3.
No, so it doesn't do that thing. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. When you pass this kind of thing to a group of cells like G1 to G3, when you pass this to a group of cells, then it automatically copy paste just like how it will copy paste in Excel. And Faisal was talking about freezing. So if I would have put a dollar sign over here, the dollar sign also would have acted in the same manner as it would have done in Excel. So if I press F5, over here it's E1 plus F1, again E1 plus F2, E1 plus F3. So why I told you this thing, because sometimes working with worksheets is not an easy work, especially the dynamic ranges are there, multiple sheets, multiple workbooks we are working with. Working with worksheets might not be an easy thing. Much easier thing might be to create formula for one cell and able to pass it on to the other values in the cell. Right?
So,
And once that is done, yeah.
So I mean, it's doing G1, whatever the value is in G1, it's copy that G1 value and paste it over G2 and G3, right?
Yes, but with a relative cell reference technique. like how it happens in
in
Excel cell.
Okay.
Yes.
I was in assumption that it will pick the G1 is same, then move to G2, then again pick the same value, like the text
No.
value.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's why I told you this difference, that when it's working in a cell versus when it's working on the group of cell, it behaves differently.
Okay.
So on a group of cell, it's putting the value in the first cell of your group and then just copy pasting the formula to the rest of it.
Like we normally do in Excel, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So Ishani, we need not to write formula all the time, because if you see, it's like we're just typing it. Nothing
Yeah,
else.
but you don't need to. I just wanted to tell you there is something called formula and value, because when if you read something online, you will see formula and value and you'll feel nothing was taught to us. But you can write it, but in the end, it doesn't really have any effect in the output of it. Okay. All right. Let's do one small activity. I want you to create a sheet. Okay, create this. Whatever I'm doing manually, you guys have to do through VBA. You can't do manually. Okay. So let's say if I wanted to create this expense sheet of, let's say you get from the end user which month and year the person is giving you the expense sheet of, let's say December 2021. So this thing, December 2021, is going to be a variable in the sense that it can vary. A person could enter December 2021 or whatever. And no, let's not make it so tough. Let's put an expense sheet of 21. Over here, I want the word months. Over here, I want the expense. And in the months, I want it like this. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12, 12 months. I want the expenses to be there. Okay, whatever the expenses is. And then I want, what do I want? And then I want percentage of expense. Okay. So whatever is a expense, let's say 10, 20, 30. Let's say this is the expense that I have. So total expense is about 780. So whatever is the percentage of expenses, what I'm looking for. Is it clear?
Yes. So we need to create a worksheet. Like
Yes. You have to create everything.
Understood.
So it's not given to you right now. Again, we are trying to work with the basics. So let's say the worksheet has to be created. Once a person has entered the expense, then automatically your month should not be user given. Only the expense should be user given. Rest of it has to be put or calculated.
We have to
Once
ask
again.
month also from the customer.
No.
No.
Months, you know that 12 months, right?
Okay.
So we know that 12 months. So what we want is just ask the customer which year's expense sheet you want. Then we're going to ask the customer for expense. So month 1 expense, enter month 2 expense, enter month 3 expense, something like that. And this sheet should automatically update. Once you've got all the expenses, then I want you to calculate the percentage of the expense column. Got it? So if you want, you can take a picture of this particular thing so that I can leave you at the code sheet.
Can we see the code sheet?
Yeah. If you take a picture, I can move.
Yes. Yeah. Expense is percentage of?
Percentage of total
Expense.
expense. Monthly percentage, yeah.
Okay. So 10 divided by total of expense.
Correct.
Like 10 plus 2. Okay. So this will be.
Ishani, expense should be asked by the user.
Sorry, you say that again.
Expense column
should be ours. Yeah.
Okay.
After the session, anyone who wanted to give the VB assessment that you guys missed, do stay back. So I'm going to share the link with you today, okay?
Okay.
Shani, how did we calculate the percentage of expenses?
The percentage of that month divided by the total expense.
Percentage of that month. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Shani, is this any activity or this is assessment?
Which one?
Which is given by you
Right now?
right now, yes.
Oh, this is just your exercise, class exercise, right?
Okay, actually I'm in a hospital, so I cannot provide give the assessment.
Oh, did you miss the first assessment?
When?
Did you miss the previous assessment?
I think I know. No, I think no.
Hold on,
If
let me
any
check.
assessment today happens, so
Not today. No, but what I'm
okay,
asking
okay.
is, did you give the previous VB assessment?
VBA assessment.
Hold on. Eklavya, are you there?
Yeah, Shani, I'm here.
Oh, Eklavya, can you check if Vivek has given the assessment or not?
Sure, sure. Let me check.
Kshitij, so it is going to be the expense of that month divided by the total expense.
Yes.
Okay, Shani.
Shani, he did participate in the assessment.
Okay. So Vivek, you don't have to give any assessments today. You okay?
Okay. Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Eklavya,
Shani.
can you even confirm if you have received my resubmitting?
I
mail?
have received it. I have
Okay,
received
thank
it,
you.
Sunny. I saw
Thank
it yesterday.
you. Yeah, because my few mails were not going.
No, I have received it.
Thank you.
Anyone who has finished?
Yes, I'm just checking my code.
Okay.
212. Yeah. Okay. Expense part is wrong.
It's not working.
No, expense part is follow. Okay.
Show me the formula that you've used.
Yeah. Just okay. Expense. Okay, done. Fine. Can you show my screen?
Yes.
So this is my code.
Okay. Excel sheet of month. Percentage of into the months. Why would you torture the person with entering the months? You would want it in a certain order, right? Why enter the months? Can't you put 1 to 12?
Okay, you didn't want from the input box. Okay, I just.
So only thing I wanted from input box was the year and the expense, nothing else.
Year and expense. I thought in this format, I will just put it like this.
No, this is too much work. Think from end user point of view. Sequentially, you're making a person write 1 to 12, which you
Yeah,
program
that's
could
what
have
I was
done.
doing, checking. Now I will do this.
Too much work.
That's my mistake. Else it is working. Everything is working. In fact, even this is also working. Done.
Correct. But just make 1 to 12 come by itself, not through the code.
So,
Sheet and after active sheet. Okay. I is equal to 1 to 12. Input box, enter the expense. B1 is equal to A2 to A3. Why? Sum of A, okay. And divided by B1. What about the months 1 to 12, Rakesh? What about the
Yeah, I
heading?
missed on that.
Yeah, the heading, the months, all of them have to be there, right?
Yeah, let me.
And C2 to C3 will only be 2 cells. I think you meant C2 to C13.
C13.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is also okay. Correct that.
Ishani, I'm getting a runtime error 9.
Can you show your screen?
Subscript
out of
range. It's just I'm doing it from my mobile.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
All right.
See
Click
if
on
I can
OK
focus
once.
it on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Click on OK.
I haven't complete my just a moment.
Oh, you have written A2 is to A3. So that part I understood where you went wrong. Okay.
What?
Look at my screen once.
Yes.
You just see this part. This is the part you did not write. It is not A2 to A13. So A will be constant over here. Ampersand I.
Okay.
Not on the other side of equal to.
Okay.
Age. Sheet 5. Expense sheet of So this is
So Shani, isn't it override the value of I, the this line range A and then B, we are using it after,
overwrite the value of I.
I mean,
One is in column A and one is in column B.
yeah,
So in column A, it will when I is equal to 1, it becomes
right,
A4 equal to 1.
yeah.
And in B4, it will take whatever I enter in the input box. Then it changes the value of I
but
at next time.
the cell
So
value.
in one column, month is coming, and on the other next column, expenses are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One column is a month, right?
Hmm.
And second one is expense. So there's no overwriting.
No, the overriding of the I value. I mean,
But you're not assigning anything to I, right? You're using the value of I.
yeah.
You're utilizing the value of I. Nowhere you're overwriting the value of I.
The output of first one is coming in column A, and the output of second is coming in
He's
column
not
B.
worried about A and B. He's thinking, oh, somehow I'm altering the value of I's because it's on the left hand side. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is not altering. It is not assigning anything. What it is assigning to is it's the entire range, not to the value of I. So it's utilizing or using the value of I, coming up with the range, and then this I value gets assigned to it. So no, we are not
So
overwriting it.
every time it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Correct.
So Shani, why are you putting I plus 3? Why not I plus 1? If you
A plus 3 because according to what I had shown to you, my range
It's an
starts from
A4.
A4 and A3 should
okay.
be month's expenses. I have forgotten about these things.
That's why I taken 3 to 14 and then x minus 2. I just modified my code x minus 2.
X minus 2, yeah. I unfortunately have this problem of always starting from 1. So typically I would add and make it even out over there. And I don't like to start my range from anything and end at anything odd, like 4 to 13 or something like that. It's a personal issue. So this would be your program. If I press F5, enter the year, let's say 2020. Enter the expense. And it's done. Let me know if you have any questions.
You also change the format of the percentage in the Excel itself. Is there a way to change the format?
Yeah. Absolutely. So format and all, the coding is there. We can record and see what the code is, but we don't have to do it through Excel. We can do it through VBA only.
Ishani, you told to add worksheet, not in the active worksheet itself.
Oh, what did I say?
I remember from that's why.
No, I added a new sheet. That's okay. If you added a sheet, it's fine. Main thing was not adding the sheet. Main thing was all these things to be done. Any questions?
Why are we writing 4 after next I?
By mistake.
Okay.
Good one.
I think, yeah, Deepika, correct. Sorry, guys, I've almost lost my voice by now.
Ishani, I think you should take day off.
Day off is
Because,
not
yeah.
possible.
No.
Day off doesn't come in our lives. But yeah, but now my voice is almost gone. I've been training since 10 in the morning. So by the time I reach your batch, my half voice is gone.
Don't worry, Shani. At least I'm not that bright that I'm good with your voice, your speed, everything.
Yeah.
So we
All
are not
right.
like superhuman. We are all good.
Thank you. But you know, my energy level goes down, which I don't like. When I'm teaching, I would really like to have a high energy. So I thought we had to take 1 to 12 as well. So that's why this code. Okay. But why such a complicated code, Gunjan? Gunjan, you need to simplify your thought process. You need to think in a simple terms. Simple. Be as simple as possible. You complicate things. The things that I don't even visualize before I give to you as a question, you can think of all the complications in it. Simplify. Simplify. Life is easier than this. Okay. All right. So that's it for today. Tomorrow, we will work with the following thing so that you know what's coming ahead. We will work with how to copy paste, copy, cut, paste. We will work with paste special, because remember I told you a lot of times we would prefer this one, but ideally we would not want to leave our formulas or our functions in Excel cell. Never. We will leave the values but not the formulas. So we should know how to do a paste special, and then we'll talk about what I think Naveen or Ashish was asking, how to pick a dynamic range. We'll also understand how to pick a dynamic table. So it looks like a lot of work, but they are only 1122 line of codes that I have to teach. So we will be able to cover all four.
We can
Then
create pivot as well through this weave coding, right?
pivot, yeah, absolutely. We can create pivots, we can create charts, anything that you pretty much do in Excel, you can do it in VBA. Some of them is easier, some of them is difficult, and probably tomorrow, once I've done this work with you, I'll just give you some a data set and bunch of reports to create, in which you will have to mix all the concepts that you started from day one. Little bit of recording will be required, little bit of your do while or your for loops will be required, and all the range concepts would also be there. So we're going to mix everything tomorrow. All right. Now, how many people are supposed to give the VBA test?
Me, Kameshwar.
Kameshwar. Who one more person is there, Ankita, and 3-4 people had said that day, because I can't create more question papers then. So if you're not giving today, it won't happen then again. It's only 2 people. Vikas, 3 people, okay. So all of you can log out for all 3 of you. I'll